Thank you very much, Hugh, and good morning to everyone, and welcome to the City of Cape Town. I tried to wear a City of Cape Town print outfit today. I don't know, you will notice during the day I have a table mountain and everything else on me. So just to make you feel at home and comfortable. I think the last two speakers, the Alderman and also Dr. Gisela, painted a certain picture and then gave you a level of background in terms of the city's journey. And I think based on what they've shared with you, it's no surprise that the City of Cape Town decided to start their own journey in terms of the smart metering AMI. But for this panel, we decided to bring in speakers from different parts of the world, within South Africa, Madrid, and Australia, to share and give you their understanding of the why they pursued and started their own journeys of AMI. And they will share with you and define what they deem as successes and of AMI. So we will start in terms of our panel with Peter, who's just going to share. They are at the beginning of their AMI journey. We'll give you a background in terms of where they are and what they are aiming to achieve and what they see as the challenges. And then we will move over to Javier from Madrid, who's also going to share their journey and where they are and what they are aiming to achieve. And then we will end with Raghu from Yarra Valley, who's also going to share their story. We will do some presentation, if I can just give you a perspective. We'll do presentation from each presenter, and then from there we will take questions from the floor, and then we will wrap it up for any clarity to provide you with the details, if any necessary. So let me introduce my first speaker, who's going to kickstart us with our discussion today, Peter Thompson. Peter has a BSc in water and in water utilization engineering from University of Pretoria. He is the managing director in Umgeni Water Services with over 35 years of working experience. He worked in bulk water and wastewater treatment facility. He has over 15 years managing the process of engineering department at Umgeni Water, specifically looking at treatment of water. Peter, just to summarize the few, Peter is a well-respected engineer in South Africa and a published researcher and a writer. And some of the research that he has done in Umgeni Water and Water for the Water Research Commission focus on specifically on water treatment for small rural plants, evaluation of packaged wastewater treatment plants, and other research. Peter has undertaken national and international work in Africa and internationally, including design and process of troubleshooting in Angola, Lesotho, Zambia, Mozambique, Botswana, and Nigeria, and Germany, just to name the few. He has been involved in development of a number of innovations and appropriate solutions to the water treatment problems in Africa and around the world. And some of these are being utilized commercially. So Peter, over to you. Please share with us your AMI journey within Umgeni Water. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for that. We must give a shorter bio next time. I feel a bit embarrassed sometimes. So as Sia said, I'm the Managing Director for Umgeni Water Services. Can we put the presentation on? My title is going to be navigating the waters addressing concerns in digital metering for the water industry. Just to give you a perspective of Umgeni and where we are, we're in the Indian Ocean, the total opposite of where we are at the moment on the Indian Ocean side, the province of KZN. Umgeni Water Services, that's the province, and we service that whole province, between 10 to 11 million consumers. We are currently, Umgeni Water Services, a separate entity, a private entity really designed to support the municipalities. The digital metering in the industry, I think we've heard yesterday and today the significance of it, but sometimes we also need to look at what are the major risks that we need to take and why we are getting involved in the digital side of metering. So the non-revenue water we've heard, and we're going to continue hearing about it. A huge amount of money is spent in it. Municipalities really buy the water from the bulk suppliers like ourselves. And the biggest risk from our side and why we need to get involved is this mic working? Yes, it is. Yeah. And why we need to get involved in it is that if the municipalities don't collect sufficient revenue, continue loss of water as we currently are, we're going to fail as utilities in the country. Not only the municipality, but the bulk suppliers as well. And we're going to get into a similar situation as Eskom. We're also a water scarce country. Fortunately, KZN is a bit better than the western side of the country, with about 800 millimeters average rainfalls, but we are much better. In terms of non-revenue, I think the poorly functioning and non-existent meters is critical, illegal connections, and then poor billing and revenue collection. And these are some of the areas that we want to get involved and assist the municipalities in. And we've set ourselves up to provide that assistance. Why is it a problem? A huge amount of money is spent on the capital side. We heard the previous presentation, all the capital that had to be invested. We're currently building just one of our large schemes, 27 billion. If we don't build that, Durban will not have water for the next 50 years. But we had to start building it now, yet we only needed it in 15 years' time if we had sorted the non-revenue water problem out. So we're actually building capital infrastructure much earlier than we actually need to. And being also the cities and some of the consumers, the municipalities are demanding more water, yet we're not seeing increased sales. That is just a direct indication that water is going straight into the ground. We also are seeing a loss from people not wanting to pay for the services, and non-revenue water or AMI or metering is going to be able to solve some of those problems and get a better understanding. I think the two key points I wanted to show on this slide is the latest no-drop results. We are losing 2 billion cubic meters per annum. That's 47% of the water that's supplied. That's 10% up from what it was in 2014. 2 billion cubic meters, just that number needs to sink in. The international average is 30%. We also use much more water per capita, 218 liters versus 173. And the physical infrastructure that's been built, in some cases in Durban, the infrastructure is 1921, if I look at some of the distribution pipes. 1920, 1930, that infrastructure served its purpose and has to be totally renewed. It's not just the metering and odd break here or there, it's a total refurbishment is required of the infrastructure. Many of the municipalities are hiding it. They don't want to actually admit to it. And the numbers we see probably add 10 to 20% to the numbers that are published. What we've learned about the importance of digital metering, the efficiency, the leak detection, and the billing accuracy. So I'm not going to dwell on that. But my key point today is what are the risks? So the primary risk, as I said, was possible failure of water utilities in the country. If we let this problem continue unabated, we are going to fail. We're going to end up worse than Eskom. So that's the primary risk. But linked to that are some more succinct risks that are associated with the actual metering itself and AMI. Starting with data security and privacy. We need to also ensure that we're collecting data, what we're doing with it, how do we protect it. Have we answered that yesterday and today? Reliability and accuracy, that's a technical compatibility across metering, cross systems. Are they on open systems that we can move across from different systems? What's the technical support and the maintenance? What about tampering and fraud? Power supply, we heard again yesterday the critical elements of that. Cost and affordability, and then compliance, regulatory compliance. So we are going on this journey to assist the municipalities, and I think Cape Town is now leading the journey, and we're going to learn from them. I've also been speaking to Ernst & Young. I think the presentations yesterday might have been rushed, but there was so much information there that it needs to be shared. And we need to actually have a separate section at the WISA conference all around AMI and metering. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, for that insight. Now we're going to move right straight on to our next presenter, Javier Fernandez Delgado, a mathematics graduate and currently working for Canal de Isabel in Madrid, Spain. He started his career in the Spanish Ministry of Defense and moved right on into Canal de Isabel in Madrid. And he started different roles there. He worked as a research and development analyst and head of software development and IT. And since 2007 has been the deputy director of instrumentation, control, automation, telecommunication, metrology, and control center and digital transformation. Javier is also a member of International Water Association Governing Assembly and Strategy Council, the Spanish Group of Standardization of Smart Cities and Leadership. And he is involved in quite a number of joint working group for innovations. So we are going to hear from someone who's got a serious interest in terms of dealing with smart way of working and smart water. Over to you, Javier. Please take us through your presentation.
Thank you very much, Sia, and I'd like to start by thanking the City of Cape Town and SWAN for having me here today, and to all of you, many of whom have gone through a very long trip to come here. So I must start by putting things in context. Speaking about my company, we are a public company. We deal with the whole water cycle in the region of Madrid in Spain, and we provide service to 7 million people in 179 municipalities, very different from one another, from a range of 3 million people in the city of Madrid down to about 50 people in the smallest villages. In terms of metering, which is what we are speaking about today, we have 1.6 million meters. So we are speaking about the whys, but I'm afraid I'm starting with the hows. And the first key message I would like to get over to you is that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution for AMI. We have made these decisions. You can see here, we have chosen NB-IoT, we are using electronic meters, and we are using in-house built software. And those decisions are strongly conditioned by the boundary conditions in our company. For instance, NB-IoT, well, LoRaWAN is also available in Madrid, and even Sigfox, and I don't know whether they continue to exist there or not. And, well, LoRaWAN is as good as NB-IoT, probably. Even in some places might be better. But we wanted, as a public company, the capability of having as many contenders as possible, and very robust ones, and that they would guarantee us service for many, many years. And I think the NB-IoT was the right decision in this context, because it's backed by the 3 major mobile phone operators in Spain, by Telefónica, by Vodafone, by Orange. It was very easy to deploy. It was just a change of software in their network. And they will guarantee service to us for probably a couple of decades at least. And additionally, it has a very good penetration in the places where we have the meters, very often in the basement and sometimes even on a second floor below ground, and it works wonderfully there. So the second decision was to go for electronic meters. To cut a long story short, we already had 700,000 electronic meters. We were very happy with them, very good accuracy. And there's another condition, is that internally, I mean, this is not external regulation, we require that what we build, the reading must be exactly the same than the number that the customer can see on the meters display. And that doesn't work with retrofitted mechanical meters, because there will be counting pulses, it's a differential measurement, and eventually it can diverge. And that's something we cannot accept. And anyway, in terms of metrology, at least in Spain, electronic meters perform much better than mechanical meters. So that was another choice, and we will be replacing 900,000 meters, but that's for another legal reason. That a law was passed about, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, that requires that every meter has to be less than 12 years in age. So we must replace them every 12 years. And for us, well, we've changed to 14 to 12, and in the last 3 or 4 years, we haven't replaced many, given that we were going to deploy the AMI infrastructure. And finally, we chose to use in-house built middleware for a couple of reasons. First of all, we have a large telemetry system, 2,200 remote terminal units. 80% of them are our own design, because there's nothing in the market that would meet our requirements for places where there is no energy. So we already had a piece of software that will continue in the future, and that was very easy to tweak in order to speak with smart meters. And for that reason, we didn't ask for any particular protocol, because we were able to very easily build new listeners for any protocol. And we expected to have many suppliers, at least more than one. And as you know, there is no standard in the water sector for these protocols. So we thought it was a very good solution, given that we have to maintain this piece of software in the future. So as you can see, it's all strongly conditioned by our framework in our region. But there are many other solutions. You can go to the cloud. You can use some commercial software. There's very good software around. Well, it's your choice, but there are many choices nowadays in the market. So my second message is, I don't know if any of you have read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. If you remember the book, there was an answer to everything in the world. It was number 42, for some reason. I have another magic number, which is 1,440. And this is the number we are multiplying the amount of data about our customers we're going to have. Instead of reading once every 2 months, we are reading every hour. And you have probably read, I don't know whether it's true or not, but there's probably some truth in it, that data is one of the most important assets in every company nowadays. And we are going to multiply our data by this amount. So that's my second key message. With this information, you can do many things. We know things we can do now, but we don't know what's hidden in this data for the future. Of course, it will improve customer engagement. We are already publishing on our website the readings for every customer. So far, we have deployed about 400,000 meters, and we plan to finish by 2026, just to comply with that new law I told you before. And we are also dealing with in-house leaks. And in a short period, we have started, now I've started a little bit, but we need some piece of software I have to buy still. It will be very, very helpful for leakage management, because we have 600 DMAs, and you know we all use the minimum night flow to see whether there are leaks or not. But we have a problem in Madrid. That's the baseline is not flat. you can have 2, 3, 4 liters per second as a baseline night flow in winter, but that can be 40 or 50 liters per second in summer. So the leaks in summer go unseen, and until we come back to the winter demand, we don't see whether there's been a leakage or not. But now with smart meters, we will have an hourly water flow calculation. So we will be able to see whether there is a leak or not in a DMA almost immediately. So the proof is in the pudding, and I'm going to give you a second magic number, which is 600,000 cubic meters. That's the amount of water we have saved over only 6 months and only with 20% of smart meters, just by telling our customers that they might have a leak in their house. And we are being very conservative because we are telling them they might have a leak if they have a consumption over 20 liters per hour over 48 hours. But I think we can go down even to 10 or to 5 liters per hour. So if we extrapolate, it is about 5 million cubic meters a year, and that's, let's say, shortening the year by 3.5 days in terms of our consumption. So it's a great value, and it's been terribly easy to implement. It's a simple query, and you have to send an email to the customer and just follow up. So we are really very happy with this. So just to finish and sum up, my 2 key messages: no one-size-fits-all solution. Depends very much on your boundary condition. And the second, when you set up an AMI project, you are not buying meters, you are not buying telecommunications, you're not buying software, you're buying a massive amount of data. Thank you.
Thank you, Javier. Let's just move on straight on into the next presenter. When we started our journey and we looked at the community of practice and wanted to inform in terms of our research and our feasibility, one of the individuals that we engage with, it's Raghu sitting next to me. Raghu has 25 years of experience having worked in water and electricity utility industry, and has played a role in terms of client-side advisory. Recently, he has focused on delivering innovative projects in the water utility sector, and he currently works for Yarra Valley Water and is responsible for information and communication technology strategy and metering, and is a program sponsor of the digital metering program within Yarra Valley. He has overseen and has detailed knowledge of technology fields, trials, procurement, key elements of the program, and implementation planning. And he has played quite a significant role within Yarra Valley in terms of research and development, financial modeling, business change development, and also stakeholder and customer liaison. So he's going to share with us the Yarra Valley journey. Thank you.
Kizia, thank you very much. And it's great to be here in Cape Town, and it's great to see some great faces that I haven't met before. So as Sia said, I come from Australia, specifically the state of Victoria, and in that area, Melbourne. And it was interesting to listen this morning to just the Cape Town story, and it's very similar. We've had also in Melbourne, where we had our millennium drought probably about 5 years earlier to when Cape Town had. And so I work for Yarra Valley Water. We are one of 16 water authorities for the Victorian state. And within Melbourne, the way that we've been set up is we have a generation business, that's Melbourne Water, and then we have 3 distribution and retailers, of which we're the largest one for Melbourne metropolitan area. We service a service area of about 4,000 square kilometres and about 800,000 residential customers and about 58,000 commercial customers. 800,000 domestic meters and about 2 million customers, basically. At Yarra Valley Water, our journey with smart metering started back in about 2012, and it was quite an innocuous let's just say a vendor came, knocked on the door to say, would you want to do something because this is what's happening around the world? And it triggered our interest in a lot of ways. And for us, we had about 3 issues that we were trying to sort out. One was around reduction of leaks, common theme for just about everyone. Automation of manual processes, and improved network efficiencies. And very soon after that, we also wanted to do more around predictive type of analytics. Rather than relying on customers to tell us where things are going wrong, we wanted to use technology to help do those sort of things. So they were basically the key reasons we ventured into digital metering. Also, we had other challenges like non-revenue water. Maybe not as bad as what I've heard here. We had about 11% of non-revenue water, and we're right now at about 8%, striving for about 6 or 7%. Very different, I get. And then from a digital metering business case perspective, so this is the other thing, which was we'd just come off the back of what happened with electricity, and it's fair to say water always follows electricity, and it's a common theme that electricity has always stuffed it up for water. There's never been a good case study where electricity has done a good job, and therefore you can just ease into the water side of things. And we had a very similar situation, and hence why you'll hear me talk more about digital metering rather than smart metering, because from a branding point of view, we wanted nothing to do with smart metering, even though globally smart metering is the more common term. And for us, with that, we had agreed that we would do the program only if it's a cost neutral or a positive business case. And when we got started in 2012, the business case range for us was anywhere from negative 38 million to 88 million, basically. Now, if we fast forward to 2023, after many proof of concepts, trials, and various technologies, the why for digital metering can be summarised into these 4 areas, basically. So there's accurate and compliant customer metering. So we have to, from a regulatory point of view, make sure that we are effectively metering our customers as accurate as possible. And our meter fleet is currently at about 42% end of life. And so we had to make a decision that we have a once-in-a-generation type of decision to be made, because these meters last 15 years. If we don't do it now, then we have to literally wait another 15, 20 years, and we lose all the benefits potentially with the introduction of digital meters. So, the primary driver for us was that. And then there's the custom side and the network side leaks, as well as the high usage. So behaviour change from a customer perspective was another critical consideration for us. Beyond that, there was the network side leaks, which were more what I would call the supporting for other programs that we had. So one of the other critical programs that is linked with the digital metering is our DMA, District Metering Area Program, where we're reducing the size of our DMAs and putting in sensors, and therefore with those IoT sensors as well as digital meters, you can identify leaks a lot easier and closer to exactly where the event's happening. And then beyond that, we also did a lot of customer research, and one of the key things through our citizens jury was customers saying, other utilities are doing smart, why aren't you doing smart? And so, I'm not saying the whole population, but a good sample set were asking for those type of changes. And also potentially, they wanted to avoid things like bill shock. So we do quarterly billing in Melbourne, and so if you had a leak or whatever, you only find out about it at the end of the quarter, and so we wanted to try and avoid those sort of things. And potentially change the billing cycle if the customer chooses to go from a quarterly to a monthly. Beyond that, other benefits related to removal of manual meter reading, migrating customers to e-bills, because we still send the bills via post, and meter theft. Meter theft is more because the brass has got a street value, whereas a smart meter has less brass, and therefore it's not there, basically. We had 4 principles at a very high level when we were doing our digital metering program related to customer, which is all around, doing this for the customer. And what we also did, seeing that we did have the other water authorities, the retailers, we wanted to offer a common customer offering for all of them, so they didn't feel like because they were serviced by, say, Yarra, they had a different service to, say, a South East Water. So we came up with a common offering, and we will enable our customers to opt out, but we're not heavily promoting it. Beyond that, the technology side, like Javier said, some of the considerations there were around open standards technology, as well as a really important thing was that we wanted the meter to be, while it's smart, the processing doesn't need to be there because we needed to get that 15-year device life. So a lot of the processing and the insights are in the back office systems. Stakeholder management. So we are a semi-government organisation, but we are managed through an independent regulator. So we need to manage a number of our stakeholders to make sure that we are catering for their needs. And the other really important thing was we had decided pretty early that we wanted to be fast followers from learning from others and not necessarily wanting to be the first cab off the rank always. And finally, as I said, with the business case, we wanted to do this program because only if we had a cost neutral or a positive business case, and we would seek approvals from the various stakeholders as we went along on the journey. Just an example of one of the trials that we did and some of the, I guess, the data that we saw out of it. So we did a trial of about 1,500 meters or customers, properties, and we identified about 350 leaks during the trial, which went for over a 12-month period. We got to understand customers' needs in terms of preferred communication channels. So they wanted a variety of communication channels. There was still a number of people who wanted to get a paper because they felt that was more official when it came to from a water authority. We saved close to about 25,000 kilolitres across that year, across those 1,500 customers. And 94% of customers, once they acknowledged that there was a leak, resolved that leak. But just a sub-note, which was really interesting, there were some customers who were very savvy when it came to these leaks and only chose to fix it when the value of the leak was higher than getting in a plumber. So just because I told you that there was a leak doesn't mean that I'm going to get a plumber to fix it. And that's, I guess, the customer choice at the end of the day, but the key thing there was enabling the customer to make those choices, which was a very important learning for us. And finally, in terms of other lessons learned for our program, just really quickly, it's very important to have executive support all the way along. It's not an easy journey. It's 10 years for us right now, and we're looking to only start rolling out towards the end of this year. So there's lots of, it's a roller coaster basically. And then there's a few others that people have mentioned and earlier, but customer, we're doing this for the customer. So human-centered design is really important when you're doing this type of program. Looking at our operating model is really important around the people, process, tech stack. And it's really important to conduct proof of concepts and trials, but most importantly, for 2024, there's a number of us who have actually gone through that. So come and talk to utilities who've been through that journey so that you don't have to make the same mistake again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. I think you can agree with me. What is coming out of clear from all the presenters is that we do need to do some lot of research in terms of understanding your needs, defining in terms of the why, and then you have to, while you're looking in terms of your why, ensure then you understand how you're going to get to where you need to be. And then what is quite important then is to define the benefits. But all my presenters today have touched in terms of where is the critical areas. And all of them, the focus is to ensure that we do this with the customer in mind. to ensure how the customer is going to benefit out of this journey, smart metering journey or AMI journey or digital metering. And also what is quite important as well is how you use the data that is going to be available to you to empower your customer to ensure that it is informed and then they make informed decisions. And also how we can use the data that is now available to us to manage our water system. And I think all the presenters highlighted the importance of managing our non-revenue water to ensure that we improve our financial sustainability. And in all three presenters, there was emphasis in terms of ensuring that we have reliable billing. We do ensure that we increase our revenue. We ensure that we use that information to manage our resources. I think I do want to just, before I go to the presenters to ask certain questions for clarity, I do feel I want to allow the audience to ask some questions, if there are any questions from the floor, just to get more details and then to have our presenters respond to those questions. Is there roving mic or should I use one?
First of all, I want to say thank you very much for such an amazing and informative presentation from all of you. My question is in particular to you, Javier. When it comes to the data integrity and what you're doing, operating almost 200 municipalities, I understand that you guys are able to collect really good data. But here in Africa, concern is data and the availability, which is something we could learn. But then there's the other side of things, security, twofold, both physical and also on the software, so like breaches. So is there anything in particular do you think that can be almost not emulated or what can be, say, what lessons can we, from your experience, implement here on in sub-Saharan Africa?
Well, in terms of cybersecurity, I think it's pretty simple. We are using end-to-end encryption, and all the information is going through a virtual private network. So we feel the information is really safe, and we are using the same IT infrastructure that we use for our telemetry, which is something we must really pay a lot of attention in terms of security. So I think there are solutions in the market, and it's something you shouldn't worry about, even if you choose to have the information in the cloud. I usually say that even our cybersecurity guys in the company don't like the cloud, but I feel it's much safer than what you can have on premise, because I'm pretty sure that Microsoft has much better security than we do, so just to give you an idea. And in terms of safety, okay, you have one thing, well, personal safety or somehow another, protection. Well, we used to have 110 people manually reading meters every day. Now, of course, we have not completed the deployment, so we still have people going around, and it was a source of accident. So in terms of health and safety, it's an improvement too. And with regard to the very security of the meter, you will be able to detect in a very short time whether someone has removed, turned the meter around, tampered with it in any way, much better than we used to, because we went there only once every 2 months, and we know there were people who had a swimming pool in their house, so when they wanted to fill it up, they just removed the meter, put a piece of pipe, fill it up, and then put the meter back. We will detect that now, so I think that's it's an additional value of this sort of solution.
Hi, Steve Kretzmann from Ground Up News Agency. Raghu, you said that you're allowed an opt-out option. Will that be permanently in place once you've completed the rollout? And what were the reasons given what reasons did people give for choosing to opt out?
Yeah, so the opt-out will be there throughout the rollout program. So our program is planned to be about 7 years. But we do intend to, because the whole benefit of doing a smart metering or a digital metering rollout is to do 100% or close to it as possible to get the benefits out of it. So the eventual goal is that we will convert, and there's a lot of learnings that we're taking from the electricity industry who had a very similar situation, and I think they've come very close to achieving that 100%. So the goal is to get 100%, but we will allow the customers to opt out. There are various reasons how we can convert them back. Sometimes as they move out, you'll look to take the opportunity to go in and replace the mechanical meter with a digital meter also. So there are different strategies that you can go about getting that 100% coverage, and this is where a program like a digital metering rollout program has a really long tail sometimes, because to get to the 100% coverage for yourself. And then the other question that you had was... reasons why. Look, I think at the end of the day, we are in there to service our customers, and so we do need to give that opportunity for them if they wish to opt out. And what we're hearing from our customers is, again, it's to do with what's happened in the electricity space. So they're worried about the electromagnetic emissions that are there. And the electricity meter in Australia is a lot closer to the property to, say, a water meter. Again, we have done lots of testing to kind of dispel some of those rumours and views that they've got, and we've done some independent studies to try and give that, to get that data point. So when a customer does say no, we want to understand why. The majority are for that electromagnetic side of things. It's not for what I'm hearing others talk about here around turning the tap off automatically with the valve or whatever. So it's a very different situation over in Australia, I would say. And I think there's a lot to do with there are customers today who are stealing water openly by putting a straight piece, and by putting in a digital meter, they'll get found out. So it's those type of situations or scenarios why.
Yeah, good morning. So, my name is Jonathan Mbonde from PCX and Telcom Group. So I just wanted to know, to what extent is there a requirement to have, intelligent or smart pipes, similar to what you're having in the electricity discussion around smart grids, as an input to the data that is an output, for the smart watering infrastructure? Hope that question makes sense. Well, no, just to anyone who can pick it up within the panel, yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of smart pipes, what we are seeing happening in the industry is the interconnection between the layout and installation of when you're putting in pipe networks to at the same time roll out fiber and other connectivity, because it reduces your trenching, your space, and that's the big cost, is getting in and replacing that. And especially where you're having in some of our older cities, Cape Town, Durban, where you're having to do lots of full replacement, we are starting to do that. We've started doing it on the bulk, where we are laying the fiber alongside the trenching, and we want to extend that into the network, and we'll get the smart ability coming out of that, including breaks earlier along the pipes, and including theft, and building on servitudes as well. Now, it's normally for replacement and new pipe work. It's easier to lay a separate trench for the fiber and other copper, if it's copper, separately. But in the new ones, definitely, it's a possibility.
We're going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to close the questions, if you don't mind. I have a hand on that side, and then, okay, let's finish the table on the left.
Ethereum from OnTech. Firstly, to the panel, I think very insightful information shared, not just to and for utilities, but even for us as service providers to the utility environment. The question is to Raghu. I think you indicated just over 20% leaks based on the 1,500 electronic meters that you've installed. 2 components to that question. Do you differentiate between a leak and a burst? That's the first component. And where did you find most of those leaks, be it on the consumer side, or was it actually at the meter side? Was it any reparation needed to be done by the utility. That's the first part. And you indicated that 40% of your current meter fleet is at its end of its operating life cycle. Is that the mechanical meter fleet? And if indeed so, what does the end of the operating life cycle mean? You're referring to accuracy or local bylaws? Thank you.
Yep. So let me answer the second question and I'll come back to that. So, so the 42% is mechanical meters that are end of life, and it is to do with the accuracy side of things. And also it's a double-edged sword, because what we don't want to do is to let the mechanical meters get to such a state that when we put in a digital meter, the customer feels that it's the digital meter that's actually overreading, and therefore you're getting billed more. So there's a fine balance there on what we need to try and find with regard to that. And then the first question that you had, which was to do with... Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the leaks that we did identify was on the customer side, and what we found was that there was a number of... So we have air conditioners on top of the roof that basically have the water leaking through, goes through the drainage pipe, and you never hear about it. It's those sort of things that we were able to identify for our customers, because we were seeing a continuous water usage through the data that we were seeing. So it never went down to zero. And so we went to the customers and explained, and that's how we identified. So there was a lot of those customer side leaks.
Hello, Alex Sinske from GLS. Also a question for Raghu. We heard from Javier that they're metering hourly. What is your optimal that you found given battery life and all?
Yeah, so exactly the same. It's hourly data, so 24 data points in a day that's transmitted every 24 hours. That is the optimal to try and achieve. And I think globally, pretty much everyone's either talking about 12 years or 15 years device life. That's what you're going to get, and that's what we've been able to calculate through spreadsheets. We'll find out another 12 to 15 if we're all around on how well we've been successful with that.
I think let's bring it to a close before you start pacing. I think just a couple of things I do want to say, though. What has come out quite clear, again, from the questions that you raised, that there is quite an interest in terms of how we can reduce that leakage that we're already seeing, how you can use the data that is available to you to inform the communication that you have with your customer, the information that you feed into your customer, the frequency of what you provide that information to your customer. I think although we didn't have an opportunity to touch it in detail, is the importance of choosing the right technology, the right meter. I'm sure other presenters later on will be able to touch on that and to ensure that it is fit for purpose. So thank you very much for listening to our panel, and thank you very much for your informative and your insight.